Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day while we wait for the drama in the United States Senate. I have a lot of big news for our viewers and subscribers in this video. New reporting has emerged that former President Donald Trump is considering a run in 2024 without Mike Pence. And I'll tell you who he's considering a run with, including some new allegations of corruption. And I'll also give you the latest status as far as the stimulus negotiations are concerned and where things stand right now and the impact that is likely to have on you. In fact, this entire pandemic is having an impact on individuals all across the country. People are actually considering not having children because of the pandemic, because of the expenses associated with having a child, and because people fundamentally don't have too much money. This is some incredible news I have to share with you. Let's just jump right in, everybody. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. Welcome to my channel. If you're new to our channel, please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I would greatly appreciate that. Let's just jump right into some new reporting that is emerging about the stimulus negotiations. Kyle Griffin is a reporter, and Kyle Griffin reported that the Republican Senator Ron Johnson, by the way, I did report this earlier on our channel today, Ron Johnson told a Wisconsin radio station that he plans to force the Senate to read the entire stimulus bill before debate can begin, and this has a very high likelihood of delaying the entire stimulus package. Now, Kyle Griffin is a senior producer actually for MSNBC's The Last Word. And then here's a response from Andrew Bates, who was in charge of the transition for President Biden. And Andrew Bates wrote, so the strategy is to further delay an overwhelmingly popular rescue plan that a majority of Republican voters, keep in mind the American Rescue Plan has support from both Democrat and Republican voters. And so the idea that Andrew Bates is saying, what's the idea? To remind the people about the contents they support and then to use that to delay the entire rescue plan. Folks, some of this stuff I couldn't even make up if I wanted to. Just incredible what we can expect in the Senate in the next 48 hours. In the meantime, President Biden is already facing pushback from Democrats. Here's some pushback from the Democrat Congresswoman from the state of New Jersey. And this is Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. She said, this is madness. People are struggling and we are fighting over how many people we want to exclude from the relief checks. And the Congresswoman points out, what about the family with several kids who made $160,000 a year but lost their job in 2020? So what the Congresswoman is saying is, hey, let's say if you're a family of four, let's just say that made $160,000 a year combined, let's say the head of household or the spouse's combined income was $160,000 a year in 2019. But in 2020, as a direct result of the pandemic, you lost your job and you had no income in 2020. So this would mean that this family, by the way, let's go back to the thresholds here, everybody. Here are the thresholds that have been proposed in the Senate. At $80,000, a single filer would get zero stimulus checks. And at $120,000, if the family, based on their most recent tax returns, made more than $120,000, then the family would get zero. By the way, here's a solution for this family. This family should file their 2020 tax returns as quickly as possible because the IRS is going to go by your 2019 or 2020 tax returns. So this is a very simple thing. If your income declined in 2020, file your 2020 tax returns now. Don't wait. If your income increased in 2020, it can actually benefit you to wait to file your 2020 tax returns, potentially even seek an extension. Now, if you had more dependents in 2020, you should file your tax return. But again, that depends on your income. And if you had more dependents in 2019, and let's say your income was lower in 2019, then you may want to wait to file your tax return. So this is an important consideration. Let's get back to this threshold here. So for the head of household, it's $120,000, and for joint filers, that phase out begins at $160,000. I don't know if I mentioned $160,000 earlier for joint filers, but I do want to clarify that now. So let me clarify one more time. If based on the new Senate threshold, if an individual makes more than $80,000 as a single filer, they would get no stimulus checks. If an individual as a head of household makes more than $120,000 based on the new Senate threshold, that person would get no stimulus checks. And if a married couple filing jointly made more than $160,000, which previously was $200,000, based on the new threshold, if they make more than $160,000, based on their most recent tax returns, they will get zero stimulus checks. So as you can see, Congresswoman Coleman is saying this is madness. And Jeff Stein from the Washington Post will see his tweet on your screen here. As he's pointing out that as he and Xiu Min Kim from the Washington Post reported, centrist Democrats, including the conservative Democrat Joe Manchin, basically pushed President Biden, and President Biden had to agree because he needs the votes. Without the votes from Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, unfortunately, the $1.9 trillion stimulus bill will not pass. So it looks like they had a private discussion with President Biden earlier this week as well, and they brought up the tightening of the stimulus checks, and they said, hey, Mr. President, you need to do this, and it looks like he agreed. Now, keep in mind that last month, House Democrats had rejected a proposal to target the stimulus checks, but it looks like the president, recognized the political reality of the situation and said, hey man, we got to get this done. So it looks like, folks, that the centrist Democrats did indeed get their way. Let's shift gears now. And this is something interesting, folks. New reporting has emerged that former President Trump is not only considering running in 2024, but he's also considering doing this without Mike Pence, with get this, the governor of South Dakota, Kristi Noem. And new reporting has emerged in South Dakota that Kristi Noem's family got $600,000 in pandemic grants. And these are family members of Governor Noem who received over $600,000 in funds from a state grant program pushed by the governor. So boy, oh boy, and that's not the only controversy. This on your screen right here, folks, is Elaine Chao, who is the wife of the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell. And this is incredible, folks. She resigned after the Capitol incident, before the inauguration of President Biden. And so the ex-transportation chief, Elaine Chao, inappropriately used her office to benefit her family, according to an ethics probe. And she made plans to include relatives on an official trip to China. Her family has, extensive business interests, including in China. And she had her public affairs staff help market her dad's book. So she made plans to include family members on an official trip to China using taxpayer dollars. I'll provide you with a link to all these tweets and the articles in the description section below. While these officials are using government funds to benefit themselves and thinking about their own political futures, this crisis is prompting many of our fellow Americans to delay or abandon plans to have kids, resulting in a pandemic baby buster. Folks, what happens normally during a period of war or extreme strife is there's actually a baby boom. 9/11 actually led to a baby boom. And what is happening here is the exact opposite. A year into the pandemic, a lot of early data and surveys point to a baby bust in many advanced economies, from the US to Europe to East Asia as well. And so I'll provide you with a link to that. Now, I've had a lot of questions about whether you should file your taxes in 2019 or 2020. Is there some sort of a clawback provision if either one of those situations is going to benefit you? So here's, by the way, I did do another video about this, encouraging you to file your taxes if your income was low in 2020, right? So here's reporting from Jeff Stein pointing out that there is no clawback provision. He was asked by Colin Kalmabacker, I hope I pronounced that right, who's the editor of LAW Crime News. And is there an opposite provision? Like, let's say you qualified based on 2019 income, and then in 2020 you don't qualify because you made more money in 2020, but you file after receiving the check, so they claw back the stimulus check. In other words, what Colin is asking is, let's say I made more money in 2020, and then I got my stimulus check based on my 2019 returns, and then I filed my 2020 returns, which would have made me ineligible for the stimulus check, or made me eligible for a smaller stimulus check. There is no clawback provision. In short, if your income went up from 2019 to 2020, in other words, if you made more money in 2020, you may want to wait so that the IRS can send you a check based on 2019. Folks, I don't believe there can be a clawback provision. Let me be as clear as I can. The IRS is overloaded. They are completely overloaded, and the IRS does not have the ability, does not have the manpower to chase you down should you have been eligible for a smaller stimulus check based on your 2020 returns. So my advice to you would be, my advice is very simple. If you made more money in 2020, then it makes sense for you to wait to file your tax returns. If you made less money in 2020, then it makes sense for you to file your tax returns now. If you had more dependents in 2020, it makes sense for you to file your tax returns now, assuming, of course, that your income was the same or lower and you fall within the threshold. So I think you can go ahead and do this. In fact, there have been senators. Senator Ron Wyden actually said, "Hey, this is going to be based on your 2019 or 2020 income. So file if appropriate." So this is an interesting situation here, where you can pretty much control what data the IRS uses, because you can decide whether to file your 2020 returns or not. So the debates over the Democrats are still debating, folks, over the entire stimulus package. This is reporting from Jeff Stein. There's still going to be a debate in the Senate. Does it spend too much on the states? Could some money go into infrastructure? Because there have been Democrats saying, "Hey, let's take out $50 billion from the $360 billion state and local aid package and apply it towards broadband." That's what the Democrats, that's what some Democrats, like Democrat Jean Shaheen, have proposed. And they talked about cutting child poverty. Why only cut child poverty for 1 year? Why not deal with child poverty on a permanent basis? Why only $25 billion for renters if $75 billion is rented? And the centrists, meaning we're talking Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, want smaller unemployment, $300 a week instead of $400 a week, and they want more targeted stimulus checks. But the progressive Democrats want much more. All this was covered in an article from the Washington Post, and I'll provide you with a link to the article in the description section below. Let's take a look at more reporting from CNN that reports new divisions, as you can see on your screen, as the Senate debates the bill. We can expect, folks, we can expect a lot. We can expect a lot of anguish in the United States Senate about this. We're already starting to see a lot of backlash from Republican. We're already starting to see a significant amount of backlash, everyone, from Republican senators who simply do not want this. They do not want this bill to be passed, and they're doing everything that they can to make the passage of the bill as painful as possible. Here's a quote from Ron Johnson. Okay, Ron Johnson from Wisconsin. He said, we're talking about $1.9 trillion, a stack of $1 billion bills that would extend halfway past the distance to the moon. I'm sure that was important to you, but hey, I guess Ron Johnson just took up 30 seconds of your life and my life with that absolutely useless information. He said, we're talking about $1.9 trillion, a stack of $1 billion that would extend halfway past the distance to the moon. And we want to do this in a matter of hours. I don't think that's right. Hey, you know what, Ron Johnson, you know what's not right? What's not right is not helping our fellow Americans. What's not right? What's not right, Senator Johnson, is passing $2 trillion in tax cuts for the ultra wealthy using budget reconciliation, and then complaining about the use of budget reconciliation when it is intended to help the most vulnerable amongst us. Is there going to be some waste in the bill? Of course there's going to be waste in the bill. There's going to be waste in anything. If folks, if any of us had to spend, I'm just going to throw out a number, $10,000. You think all of us would, spend it the same way? No, some of us would waste it, some of us would save it, some of us would invest it. Of course, there's going to be waste. You can't take what is essentially a crisis and complain about the distance of dollar bills to the moon. Pretty ridiculous, if you ask me. So new reporting from CNN also that the Senate is bracing for a marathon effort, everyone. The Senate's bracing for a marathon effort and a late night of voting on amendments before lawmakers take a final vote. I expect this final vote to happen sometime on Friday in about 48 hours, and I do expect this to go late into the night. I do expect the passage of the bill to happen over the weekend, and I do expect the bill to pass. I want to be as clear as I can about that. As you can see, Senate gears up for a marathon effort in the push for the bill. So, folks, it's going to be pretty dramatic what's going on. Ron Johnson obviously doesn't like it. And the Senate Majority Whip Dick Durbin said members start with a great number of amendments and great resolve, and eventually it dwindles down to a handful of amendments and no resolve. People just want to get out of here. The senators are going to make a big hoo-ha. The Republican senators are going to make a big hoo-ha about how wasteful this is, but they do want to get out of there and pretty much, I would imagine, prop their feet up on their leather, couches and drink expensive whiskey while hanging out with with their family. And the Pramila Jayapal, who's a Democratic congresswoman from Washington State, who's a progressive, said, and she was specifically talking about the provision that is going to be removed. And she does not like that the $1,400 stimulus check is going to be more targeted. She said, I don't like that this is being narrowed. I feel like the survival checks are the easiest, simplest, and most populist proposal. And she said she's looking to see what the whole package looks like. So, folks, a lot of stuff going on. And I did mention earlier that this is not a perfect bill. Just Stein from the Washington Post quotes Jason Furman, who is a professor of practice at Harvard, okay, that this is not a perfect bill. If an economist was designing it from scratch today, they would design it differently. But nothing Congress does is perfect. It will be a major booster shot that will help close the gaps in the economy. Pretty incredible comments there. Heather Long from the Washington Post also reports that as the Senate is rushing to pass this bill, Biden is still facing doubts from Democrats, centrist Democrats, saying, hey, let's do a smaller bill with more targeted stimulus, and let's do smaller unemployment benefits. And of course, progressives like Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, progressives like Bernie Sanders, Chuck Schumer, they all want a larger bill. They all want a more ambitious bill. And I can tell you that John Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock, who allowed the Democrats to win the majority, raise it in majority in the Senate, will also want these massive checks, because that's what they promised. That's what they ran on. This is all reporting, folks, from the Washington Post. Here's the article from the Washington Post. As always, you can expect the link to the article, everyone, in the description section below. So I assure you that you will be able to check it out. And we are waiting to see what revisions will be made, in the bill. And the push from the White House is we have to do this. Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, said, we're still at the height of a pandemic. We are not going to recover from this pandemic tomorrow. The economic recession will not be recovered from tomorrow. And I think Jason Furman's comment was very important. This is something that is not a perfect bill, and we cannot expect perfection. Now, the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is not happy at all, folks. The Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said, let's see what he said. This is what he said. He said, it is of a size that might have made sense a year ago. This is not a year ago. We're making extraordinary progress with the rollout of the vaccine. So you can see that basically the Republicans are like, no. That's what they're still saying. And the latest news, folks, this is from Burgess Everett over at Politico, is that there's going to be a vote expected around 1 p.m. East Coast time today. So by the time you watch this video, they'll either be voting or they will have voted. And the Democrats are confident they have 50. Now, in case you're wondering, what is the vote today? No. This is the vote for them to decide to debate on the COVID package. So this vote will get the ball rolling so they can start debating the 20 hours of debates, the vote rama. And then that will be followed by a vote which will pass 51 to 50. Let's hope none of the Democrats get sick, or, let's assume all the Democrats show up, because the president and the White House cannot lose a single Democratic vote. Okay, they simply can't lose. They can't lose any Democratic votes, and that's why I believe President Biden had to adjust. He had to adapt to the demands from Joe Manchin. So that's where things stand right now, everybody. Please share this video if you learned something new. The vote is going to take place at 1 p.m. East Coast time. Ron Johnson demands a reading of the entire stimulus bill, and the Democratic leaders are estimating that could take 4 to 5 hours. So we're about to see a reading of a bill which a majority of Americans support, both Republicans and Democrats, which is going to pass the Senate, and we're going to see essentially a political exercise from Ron Johnson, from the Republicans. Ron Johnson is one of the senior Republican senators from Wisconsin. We can also expect to see 20 hours of debate tomorrow, up to 20 hours of debate. I have a feeling that it could potentially last a little bit longer, because none of these senators stay on point and remain on time. They go on these long speeches and these long rambling things that they go on to say. By the way, speaking of long, please click the like button, subscribe, and enable notifications. I don't know if you noticed, but I've done this video in one take. No edits, no nothing. I just went right through it. A lot of organization and preparation goes into these videos, because I have to analyze the content. I have to get the articles ready. I have to make sure that my thought process is organized and I'm not a crazy person just rambling on camera. But if you appreciate that, please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That would mean a lot to me. I'm almost done. So we're about to see a 20-hour plus debate, everyone. We're about to see a voter-arma tomorrow, and I believe that there's going to be a brutal debate, everyone, on this bill. I think the Republicans are going to make life as difficult as possible for the Democrats. That is what it's looking to be like, and I will obviously keep you posted with everything that is happening as the whole situation evolves. I got to tell you, what Ron Johnson is doing is going to make things more challenging and more painful. And the Senate Finance Chair, Ron Wyden, okay, who's a Democrat, said that he would have preferred the House threshold on the checks, meaning the original threshold. But he said that he thought the bill was still in a good place. And he said that the party is still tweaking the bills. He said there are a couple of numbers that people are still going back and forth on, but I think we're very close. Again, folks, please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That would mean a lot to me. I would really appreciate that. And on a final note, House Speaker Pelosi seems very confident. She said that she wants to study any compromise that's proposed on unemployment benefits and stimulus checks, but she said so far so good. So folks, my analysis here is that President Biden had no choice but to agree to the threshold in order to get the support of the conservative Democrat Joe Manchin and Senator Kristen Sinema, because without them, it's over. I don't think President Biden really is trying to get any Republican votes. Maybe he's trying to get a Republican vote from Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. Maybe he's trying to get a vote from Susan Collins from Maine, who he knows personally. She's one of his old friends from the Senate. But I would say that at this point, this is where things stand. We're getting close to the end, but there's still going to be a bit of drama. Okay, I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Please click like, subscribe, and enable notifications. It helps out the YouTube algorithm, and it's your way of appreciating my efforts. I'll talk to you soon. I'll keep you posted. Thanks.